as I was practicing journalism and communication and working with the community, I joined an organization, Wild Heart Kenya, which I'm now a project lead. So joining Wild Heart Kenya, I joined in as a volunteer. I started going for the mangrove activity, as well as now on this other end, I'm learning a lot about environment. I'm learning a lot about how climate affects us, and now I get an opportunity to actually get into the ground and experience it. The poverty rate is so high. So here the father feels it's a burden to have all these girls at this age inside the house, and these are many mouths to feed. It has happened, and I've seen that happening. So you see girls are being forced into forced marriages, early marriages, because they're like, let me marry off this person so that they're able to get a better life. But in fact, you're ruining this person's life. There is a lot that is happening in terms of gender-based violence. When you're looking at places that are vulnerable to climate crisis or are experiencing climate crisis, you'll find that women are 14 more times subjected to sexual exploitation, to beatings from their men, from their husbands in that particular household.
Greetings, we are so glad you could join us on this particular episode of Life in Focus. My name is Paul Monio. Our guest today is none other than Husna Khan. She is a journalist as well as an environmental activist. Of course, we want to know her and the things that she does. We are recording from the Mombasa Media Hub at the Little Theatre in Mombasa. Husna.
Yes.
Wow, I'm so glad to see you. Welcome to this particular episode, Life in Focus.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Now, I give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our viewers.
I'm Husna Khan. I'm a journalist and a communications consultant based here in Mombasa, and I'm also an environmental activist working along the coast.
Okay.
Yes.
We gotta talk about that. We want to know why you decided to venture into that particular space. We want to ask you questions like, are we taking care of the environment? What are we supposed to do, and what have we not done? But before that, we just want to know you, where you grew up. We want to know your school life, and of course the things that you've been able to do before your current position. So if you can, just tell us where you were born and how your childhood life has been, or rather was.
I've been born in Mombasa, but raised in Mombasa as well as Taita Taveta County. Growing up in Mombasa has been such an amazing thing. Growing up in Changamwe sub-county, growing up, playing with fellow kids, and also I didn't have that opportunity to study outside of Mombasa County. So primary, high school, university, I've all done that in Mombasa. I went to Star of the Sea Catholic school, and I can say it's been a good journey. And I also did my university studies, journalism and communication, also here in Mombasa. And before my current capacity in the environmental space, I've been trained as a peer educator on sexual reproductive health rights, where we used to conduct sessions with youths regarding mental health, regarding sexual reproductive health rights, in the grassroots level. Okay,
we're gonna get deeper to that. Let us know if you have siblings, and how was it growing up in Changamwe?
I have 2 siblings. We're 3 sisters, and of course, growing up with sisters, stealing each other's outfits, makeup, and life in Changamwe was good. We grew up with our grandma, may her soul rest in peace. And growing up, it wasn't also easy because, you know, trying to blend in, blending in the society was a bit difficult, but we did maneuver.
Why do you say that?
It was a bit difficult to maneuver because we look different. We look different from the physique, but we did maneuver with the community around.
Were you an introverted child, a playful kid, or how was that like? And yeah, are you introverted? Because I can see you're very bubbly, and if that is how you were back then tell us if you were an introverted kid.
I can say both. I had both energies. So if I meet with people who are talkative, they're welcoming, definitely I'm going to express myself. But having people who are not friendly, or maybe they're projecting some coldness and unfriendliness, then I tend to shy away from childhood. And unfortunately, I've also been a victim of childhood bullying. So yeah, I've had both good moments, and I've also had being bullied at a childhood level.
Okay.
Yes.
Life at school, at the Star of the Sea to be particular?
I had the best time. I had the best time. I had this amazing group of ladies, you know. We would even extend studies in the evening. Classes used to end at 4:30, but we would extend so that sometimes we would study, sometimes it will be just a session where girls talk, express themselves. You know how school life can get. It could be very overwhelming. People have expectations from you. People do have a sibling comparison, you know. Being the last born, I had tight competitions. My sisters set the bar up there. So, but I had the best time in school, and up to date, I think I've made really meaningful friends from back then. People who knew you when you didn't have a name in the society. People were there for you. People are still there for you because they knew you as Husna, not because of your attachment to some place. I think I had the best time in school. Okay.
You know, when growing up, our parents, our teachers, and the society love to ask this particular question: what would you like to be when you grow up? So did you ever get asked that question? And maybe back then, what was your, you know, dream? Yeah.
Wow. So being asked, what would you like to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a pilot. I also wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
I also wanted to work for the NASA, the space things. But unfortunately, or fortunately, here I am.
Right. So Husna, you're done with high school at the Star of the Sea. So did you pass?
Yes, I did. I did pass.
So tell us, life after high school. You know, there's a certain period where you sit down, decide what you want to pursue at the university. So take us through that particular period, you know, life after school. Did you manage to, you know, do some short courses? What were you doing at home? Yeah.
After high school, I can say it did took a toll on my mental health, because I was expecting certain grades to get me to the medical field, but that did not happen. Okay. So I sat down and asked myself, okay, you didn't get the marks to get you to the medical. Is there another option you could explore? So I was thinking of even becoming a radiologist. Or even a pharmacist. I was like, I cannot go and kill people because I was bad at chemistry. I will not lie to you. Okay. Yeah, but I took time and I did short courses. The packaging, computers. I did that for 3 months, as well as I decided to also take swimming classes. You know, you must have skills in this world. So concurrently I was doing the computer package studies, I was doing the swimming classes, and then COVID came. COVID came. That was between now the period I've finished and the period now I'm trying to transition between now staying at home and also now trying to get into the university. Yes, and as well as in that period, you know, now you get pressure from the community, not from my family but from people around you. Oh, you're done with school, what next? So and so is doing this course, so and so is in this university. So even looking at people who never showed up in class but the university, so I'm like,
how did it happen?
How did it happen? You know, in a blink of an eye. So you're like, okay, I'm a lover of good news. I'll say, mashallah, I'm happy for them. My time will come. So I did struggle to get like a university, because clearly whatever I wanted to pursue, it wasn't an option anymore. So I had to sit down deep inside me and ask myself, what is it that you could do, could go with who you are, your personality, your values. For me, I love expressing myself. I love communicating with people. I love to work with people. So I said the best course that I could do is journalism and communication. So through that, I'll be able to communicate, I'll be able to tell stories, I'll be able to engage with communities, a diverse set of community. So then I decided to take journalism and mass communication. Okay,
so you settled for the media space.
Yes.
So how has that prepared you to where you are?
It's been an amazing journey. Every day is a learning day. From the university now, you know, there's so many units you study, and then later on you decide what is it that you want to specify. So getting into the university, I think God, it did help me through the units, studying, having the practicals. And one thing that it did prepare me a lot is the fact that there was a diverse set of skills one could acquire from the school, from TV production to radio to PR to communication to even media ethics and law. But for me at that moment, I chose to start with something like radio. You know,
so you've practiced media?
Yes.
Where?
I've practiced media through the TUM, Technical University of Mombasa Radio, and I've also practiced media in More Radio. I used to be a content producer, and then I later gradually upgraded to now being a host. I used to do a show with my mentor then, Peter Adams. He's the one who held my hand when I was starting my media journey in the radio space. And then as I was doing the radio space again, then I was connecting what I love, engaging with the community, and now I have this space, the radio. So what I used to do is I used to arrange, as I'm doing the content, so I used to plan content that is aimed at airing out community initiatives, community problems, and finding solutions. So here I'm working with the community as a peer educator. So I could get people coming in to talk about mental health, people to talk about the role of youth in promoting better mental health states, promoting safe sex practices. So here we're looking at a lot of things. So here I have the platform, here I'm having the community. I was finding a way to join them together and make impactful things.
Tell us about the experience being a radio host, and you know, getting to connect with the community, sharing challenges, and you trying to air them out to the listeners and probably to the authority to act. So how was that like for you?
Being a radio presenter, I can say it was such an amazing opportunity to work with thousands of people who you never see. You know, it's just you and the mic. If you're lucky, you have your co-host. So it was such an amazing opportunity and platform to be able to hear out first whatever that is going on in the community. We'd had sessions where people send inquiries, could be problems, could be social problems, political, community, but my view or angle of the stories were the community level. So through that, I was able to connect the community and the radio platform through having programs on health issues where we would bring youths who are peer educated as myself to come and talk about mental state in men, mental state in youths and the community at large, as well as safer sex practices in the community, as well as talk about teenage pregnancy at the community. I think that's one of the things that actually started when I was doing my sessions as a peer educator in the community, especially Changamwe. There was a high rate of teenage pregnancies, even though people are doing sessions, but we wanted to actually connect people to the radio to come and talk. Not rather who is to be blamed, but rather how are we finding solutions to do like this whole thing. Is it the parenting style? Is it the school? Is it the authorities? Are there no structured rules and laws against that? So I think those were the drivers for me connecting the community to the radio platform, not just on health but also on social issues. Yes.
What would you say was the most memorable media engagement you had on radio?
For me, I could say we had a session with youths who were into waste collection, and when we had them coming on radio to talk about it, someone sent messages saying they're willing and ready to support such kind of youth startups. So it was such a memorable thing, and it really makes me happy knowing I was able to connect these youths to their potential funder or well-wisher to make their dreams come through. So through that platform, I was able to connect these youths to someone who's ready and willing to, bring their dreams into reality. So I think that's one of the memorable things amongst others.
Okay, so at what point did you draw attention to matters environment and decided, you know what, I want to get into this particular space? Yeah.
So as I was transitioning now from the radio, because it reached a point things are not looking so well, and I had to stay out of work for some time. Then I had an opportunity to work under someone who was in the environmental space. So through that, I was able to see, okay, I can do this, me as Husna, coming from Mombasa and also Taita Taveta County, I've had a first-hand experience matters to do with climate change. Back home, we experience a lot of drought, human and wildlife conflict, and having such experiences, losing relatives, seeing neighbors go through that, those are memories that I've put in my heart. But now associating with this person made me realize you've been holding back a lot because of career-wise, radio, you have to do radio. You're a trained peer educator, but I say there is no harm in getting into this space, learning how is it that I can contribute to making my community better. How can I contribute to improve their lives? So gradually I started, as I am practicing, remember now I'm still practicing journalism, but now in the communication space, I'm learning. So, okay, there are these policies. So this is what actually happens. Apart from planting trees and talking about it, what is it that I can do to actually make things better, not just for my community, because when you're doing something, it might not benefit you as an individual, but it might benefit your community and the larger
and the generations to come.
Yes.
Okay, so you decided you're gonna get to the space. Did you get a chance to work with an organization? What are the steps that you took to now start being in that space, as well as practicing what you know and advocating for a change?
So as I was practicing journalism and communication and working with the community, I joined an organization, Wild Heart Kenya, which I'm now a project lead. So joining Wild Heart Kenya, I joined in as a volunteer. So the organizations would have mangrove planting activities. Say, oh, there is a mangrove planting activity, I'm coming. So slowly I started going for the mangrove activity, as well as now on this other end, I'm learning a lot about environment, I'm learning a lot about how climate affects us, and now I get an opportunity to actually get into the ground and experience it. So through those activities, the mangrove planting activities, I'm able to meet with the communities at that particular space. People call them the beach management units. You know, there are structures along the oceans where groups have come to have the beach management units, where they do conservancy, where they do restoration work. So through that, I was able to sit down with them and get to know the stories. But why are we doing this mangrove thing? How impactful is it to them? Or is it just we're sitting down, plan, take pictures? But there is more to it. These people value, as much as, yes, they do value that for them, but imagine when you look at the importance of mangrove, how they're able to prevent ocean erosion, how they're able to provide a breeding site for aquatic animals like crab, shrimps. So sitting down with the community, it even fueled my passion to get into this deeper. So I told myself, but this is how am I able to help my community? I mean, I'm in Mombasa and it's Taita Taveta. How am I able to, you know, to feel like I'm doing something for my community? So through that, now sitting and learning, so I'm like, at the cost we could do mangroves, but at now Taita Taveta County, there is something that we can do to also make things better. So for me, it was like an eye-opener.
Okay. Having your organization, you know, taking these steps to actually go to the field, plant mangrove seedlings, it means that there are pressing issues. Maybe the community has been cutting down the mangroves. So does it mean that the society, the community at large, you know, we are facing these challenges? Does it mean that the community is not well educated? It lacks the awareness that mangroves, you know, actually can benefit, you know, in terms of economic statuses? And does it mean that the community has maybe 0 to none awareness about the effects of cutting down mangroves?
So some communities, you know, over the past few years, people, or rather communities, have not had the knowledge on why they should preserve mangroves, because you would see most of our houses, our Swahili houses, are made of mangroves. Mikoko inatengeneza really nice roof, you know. So over the years, people have been cutting down mangroves for different reasons, for building houses. That's by the time they sell the mangrove, the whole matured mangrove for the house, that is money. So they've been cutting down mangroves, community, and also we've had urbanization. People are cutting down because of structures. People are cutting down because they're building bridges. So from the community, it was lack of knowledge. They know, okay, we're using this for the houses. We're using this for this purpose. But with that, there is more damage. So through Wild Heart Kenya, whenever we have the mangrove activities, even before now implementing the planting or restoration activities, we've had sit-downs with communities under trees. No tents, no chairs, nothing. Sitting down with them under trees and getting to educate them. And the most simple language, even as far as talking in mother tongue, that we cannot keep cutting these mangroves. Why? Because you can see evidently that the fish tonnage along those sites is really low. Fishermen would actually complain and say, tangu tukate mikoko siku hizi sipati kamba, siku hizi sipati kaa. And then now the question is, kwa nini unadhani why? So mangroves are breeding sites to these all fish, crabs that you want to get. So if you cut, where do you expect them to lay or hatch the eggs? So now we have a problem, and this is the solution. They did not know that. But now through us working with different researchers, because you always have to learn and get knowledge, scientific knowledge, then they would believe you. So through that, they're able to know also, if we keep on planting these mangroves, we'll not have erosion, soil erosion. I mean the ocean soil erosion. Through that, it's the mangrove roots are so strong that they withstand ocean currents. Communities living along or closer to the ocean, they do appreciate the fact that the mangroves are there. But then kitambo, they did not know. They'll say, nyumba ya mtu fulani ilianguka na momonyoko wa udongo. But you ask them, do you know why that happened? Because of this and this. Apart from that, we are also taking them, we are also empowering them with knowledge that mangroves are carbon sinks. As far as Kenya, for us, we emit 0.1 into the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases. But as having those mangroves, they are carbon sinks, meaning they absorb carbon from the atmosphere. So pole we take them through the awareness about climate change, how it's affecting us, and that's how pole the community is now becoming empowered. Still, we do have a long way to go, because it's not everyone who is willing to let go cutting down of mangroves.
And that's where my next question comes in. So what are some of the challenges that you face as a team to try and get communities, especially the youth, get involved in planting mangroves, other projects to try and restore our environment? So what are some of the pressing challenges that you would say you get to go through when trying to tell them that we need to do this, you need to get involved?
So with the community, the ones that we've been working with so far so good. But we still do have challenges in regards to now on the ground. We have been planting mangroves in coast along Mombasa, but you'll find that the community is ready and willing, is actually willing and is doing the conservation and restoration work. But now you would find a third party coming in and saying, this particular land now belongs to me. Bwenyenyes do come in after seeing the land has been restored in its glory, nature. They come in and say, okay, now this is my piece of land. But when the land was degraded, no one was showing up and claiming that ownership of that particular place. Another challenge could be, as we keep on planting, we also face urbanization. Definitely, the place where we've been planting, a bridge had to come. We are not enemies of progress. Yes, we do want progress. But again, now after cutting down, the people who are constructing, are they willing, are they up to their commitments that we've cut, let's say 10,000 or 5,000, but in turn this is what we are planting to replace the ones that were taken down. I can say the youths of Mombasa are open to such activity, even though it's not everyone's cup of tea to get into the mud, very soily, very slippery, but some do show because they appreciate the nature restoration.
Okay, what of women and girls? Do they get involved? What's the space? Do they have a space in environmental conservation?
Yes. Wild Heart Kenya, founded in 2017, we focus on climate restoration and also women and girls empowerment. So we work mostly with women and girls who are vulnerable to climate change, and the ones that have been affected. So we work with girls as we work along the coast, Mombasa, Kwale, and Taita Taveta. We mostly work with girls and women because they're the ones actually being affected a lot by climate change. In ways, I will draw an example from Taita Taveta. Taita Taveta has a diverse set of weather. The places where they experience rainfall, the places where they experience a drastic drought. And such areas, women are 14 times more prone to gender-based violence and sexual exploitation when it comes to exchanging sexual favors in return for resources, for the scarce resources that are there. So we work with such groups, empowering them, and also not just empowering them with knowledge, but also financial empowerment, where we go and try to see if we could like plant trees there. How do we engage them, the women and the men, to actually prevent these cases from further happening? We also work with girls and women from the drought places, trying to find ways if we could have boreholes, so that we prevent the women from traveling far to go and look for water, because it's through that they're vulnerable to sexual assault. So climate does affect women, and yes, we do work with women and girls. In Mombasa, the group that we're working with, mostly women and girls, and I can say they're doing a recommendable job. So with them, it's more financial empowerment. So here we're looking at a win-win situation. The community plans and prepares the seedlings. Through Wild Heart Kenya, we purchase those seedlings and plant them in the community. So now here we have women and girls financially benefiting from that. Secondly, now we are restoring nature. So it's a win-win situation. Yes. Yeah,
so and when you restore the nature, then it means more fish, it means a cleaner environment, and so on. So as a project lead at Wild Heart Kenya, we would love to know how many projects have you guys done so far, and probably talk about the most recent one that you've had.
So from Wild Heart Kenya, our projects are usually according to our commitments. Wild Heart Kenya is a commitment maker under the Gender Equality Forum under UN Women, and we always implement projects using the Feminist Action for Climate Justice angle. So how are these program impacting women? Are we restoring nature? Are we targeting indigenous or marginalized groups, or protecting and conserving biodiversity? So that's how our projects are aligned. So when you look at women empowerment, that's how we empower women, as I said earlier, supporting them, the groups of women, supporting them through purchase of seeds, and also linking them with other people that could actually boost them in terms of their sustainability practice. So when I talk about sustainability practices, so we have purchased the mangrove, we've planted them, and now how are we ensuring that the community doesn't cut them? So we have to put the aspects of beekeeping. We advise the community to do beekeeping in those spaces, so that way we have the mangroves which are also attached to beehives, so the community doesn't cut them.
So they have no choice.
They have no choice but to keep them.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, so here they have fish, here they do have bees. And another thing that we look at in terms of gender equality, also empowering women to be in leadership spaces, just like I have been empowered to be in a leadership stage. So even at grassroots level, with the groups that they have amongst themselves, it all starts in the grassroots, empowering them to have these groups, managing them, even though we're not into the table banking and so, but we usually do work with them to work with other people, you know. And amongst also other projects in regards to girls and women is we support girls with sanitary pads, especially from those vulnerable places where we have drought. The poverty rate is very high. So here people are looking for resources to eat. Sanitary towels are not cheap. They are expensive in Kenya. And these are issues in the sexual reproductive health rights. Girls need to have a dignity, menstruation time. So we do try as much as possible working with well-wishers to go and give them pads so that they don't have to miss school, so that they have to be in a health state, because wearing a pad for more than 8 hours or one for the whole day, it's not a good thing to their health. And then when we're looking at other projects that we're doing now, the mangrove restoration, and when we talk about mangrove restoration, we're working in Mombasa and Kwale, in Funzi. And in Taita Taveta, when we're looking at nature restoration, we're not planting mangroves, definitely that will not grow there, but we're planting fruit trees and indigenous trees in the community. There is a place called Ndome. That's where we plant fruit trees and indigenous trees. The place faces droughts and also massive soil erosion. So now we are trying to find ways to customize the programs according to the areas that we're implementing. So in Taita Taveta, that's the project that we've been doing, and also digging wells and boreholes for the community.
Okay.
Yes.
So the most recent project that you've been working on, or you've worked on?
The most recent project, I say it's the mangrove. The mangrove project, we actually did it a few days ago. We did plant mangroves, and we're looking forward to also have another one in the coming week to plant mangroves. So we have sessions with youths. We sit down, talk about why are we doing this? What's our role as youths in participating in these activities? I know everyone is all about hype in, you know, concerts, fashion, TikTok, but we can use these platforms to also create awareness and also come to the activities, and we try to make them as fun as you can imagine.
Yeah, you've mentioned about some of the challenges that girls go through in our society. We're gonna talk about that you know, in a deeper manner, but make us understand what is it that our community, our society is not doing right, or rather is doing wrong when it comes to matters environment, because we not only have mangroves, we also have challenges to do with plastic waste, we have challenges to do with carbon emission and all that. So what, according to your understanding and as an environmental activist, what you said that we still have a long way to go, so I want you to help us understand what are we not doing right as a society when it comes to matters environment?
When it comes to matters environment, as long as we are trying to create awareness, but I believe everyone has a part to play. From the community, from the government, from the industries. As you see, we're looking at a lot of things. Mombasa itself produces 1,000 tons of waste in a day. 600 gets collected by the county government, and the other 400 remains uncollected. If we're looking at the plastic waste, trust me, in our communities, people are very ignorant to waste and plastic waste. People are ignorant to look at creative ways in which they can turn the waste into money. It's only a few, and especially youth are the ones actually driving that change right now.
Yeah.
When we're looking at that's the community and the plastic waste. When we're looking at even the industries, some do go above and beyond to pollute more and not even have structures in place to prevent further air pollution into the community. I'm not going to mention names, but we've had several companies being threatened to close down because whatever they're meeting into the community and society is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes, the government could be doing their work or not, but even the companies themselves, they need to realize that, okay, this, as much as we are producing these goods in the industry, but we also need to have measures that prevent environmental degradation, and that is through the extended producer responsibility. They do have, as manufacturers, responsibility to make sure this kind of oil that I'm putting out in the community, after the consumer has used it, where is it going to? How are they finding ways to even produce better packaging that are degradable or biodegradable into the community? And we are also looking at everyone has a part to play. So we're looking at community, we're looking at manufacturers, we're looking at consumers, and we're also looking at people who pass policies. There are so many structures, for example, the environmental acts in different counties. You know, if there is Mombasa Solid Waste Management Act, or there is Mombasa County Climate Action policies. Now everyone has a part when it comes to implementation of these policies. Could be the government, yes, they're implementing, but is the community following that? So yes, we still have a very long way to go. Everyone has a part to play, and we still have a long way to go to achieve that. As of now, Kenya is looking at Kenya 2030 goals. We're looking at the political pillar, we're looking at the financial pillar, and we're looking at the environmental pillar. But if you sit down and look at it, what have we been able to achieve? Have we been able to achieve those goals?
Yeah.
Like I said, we still have a long way to go.
Okay. In your capacity also as a civil servant, I would want you to enlighten us on some of the policies that are there. You've mentioned some, but in particular in Mombasa, what are some of the policies that we need to look into and ensure that matters environment are well looked at, and we are able to sustain our waste, we are able to ensure this discipline? Yeah.
So from my capacity and ones that I've been able to interact with, Mombasa County Solid Waste Management Act. The document drafted is an amazing act that it puts down into perspective what is waste, the kind of waste that the community produces, and where is it supposed to go, and the roles of community in that. So in that Mombasa Solid Waste Management Act gives a very good picture from production to the last to the last step where all waste is supposed to go to Mokirunge sanitary landfill. But when it comes to the ground, it's different. Everyone is doing their own things. Communities are not willing to pay a certain amount of money to the waste collectors, which mainly are youth-led waste collection groups. So now the waste ends up on the roadside, blocking our sewage ways, our water pathways. So that's something that there is a whole structure, but the implementation part could be weaker because the community choose not to, or maybe they feel the charges are high. So that is one. Another one, we're looking at Mombasa County Climate Action Plan. The document is well drafted, and as far as I can remember, the national government did launch Mombasa County Climate Action Change Funds. So with that, the national government has a structure where they do support climate initiatives at county levels, but now the implementation part of it from the national government, I can say it's not fully implemented. We have 47 counties, but it's not 47 counties that are benefiting from that particular structure. The counties climate change funds, you know, funding is supposed to come from the government to the county, and now the county, through those particular policies or acts, they're supposed to implement them. They're looking forward to engage with women, girls, plant trees. Could it be mangroves? Could it be sustainable practices that will enable them grow not just financially, but also improve our environment? But as you can see, starting from the top, the implementation part, you know, is not fully 100% implemented. Yes.
Okay, so from what you've talked about, I would want to focus into two things. Number one is there's lack of awareness in the community. Secondly is ignorance. So you had mentioned earlier that the youth has a role to play in terms of creating awareness. You talked about how they can use social media to tell people that organic waste is supposed to go here. You know, these other wastes can be recycled to do some 1, 2, 3. So also in my capacity as a journalist, I've been able to interact with groups of youths who have come up with innovative ways to create employment out of waste to money. So some of them are trying to find ways, innovative ways to recycle plastic and make something. So I would like to understand, has the youth been given opportunities? Has there been enough support probably from the government to take up these innovative ideas, turn them into businesses and eradicate the challenges that we face? Kwa sababu if there are many groups that are willing to do this, it means that the youth will be looking, they will be in demand of plastic waste, they'll be in demand of other waste, so we will not be having these challenges. So the government, are there plans to support this particular project? Because so far they are not enough. Yeah.
From what that I've been able to interact with, I've also had an opportunity to interact with youths who, you know, turn plastics into fuel, turn plastics into 3D printing machines, turn plastics into bricks and tiles for houses. But again, you can see the support that they get is minimal.
Yeah.
They do get a minimal support. It could be in terms of resources. You know, the government could say that, okay, we don't have enough resources for this. I can say those are some of the challenges facing youths. And again, there are youths, despite the challenge of funding from the government, they're still able to do something out there by creating those opportunities for themselves with technology. We use technology for different intentions. I know of a group that makes handbags from the plastics. I don't know how they do, it's too technical, but they're able to make handbags with minimal fabric and fabric from actually plastic, and they've been able to use social media to market their products. They've been able to do things based on the structures that they have. But again, different enterprises have different demands. But from my perspective, and have seen, they do need a lot of support. And I don't think the government has like fully or 100% supported them. Again, some of them are not closer. I can say the proximity to the government representatives, or even the youths being able to know there's certain opportunity in terms of loans or rather grants. Some of them could not have the knowledge that, okay, as a youth I have a startup and I don't have the financial capacity to implement this, but there is a place where I can go and seek financial education or seek financial assistance. Will I be able to get a grant to do this? Again, I can also say the people who are also managing these financial enterprises, development funds, could also not be supporting these youths because there is a lot going on. They could not be having support. Yes, they could not even have the knowledge that there is this kind of support. So I can say there's a lot.
Okay. So let's talk about youth, girls and women. I know you've been doing a lot in that space. So if you could tell us what Husna Khan has been doing in terms of girl matters. Yeah.
Oh, my journey engaging with Girls Matter started way back. After finished now from 4, I'm doing my short courses, and then now COVID hits. So around that time a lot was happening. Rise in teenage pregnancies, gender-based violence. During that period time I was in a lockdown. But after the lockdown I was able to go home. Getting into my community, I said, okay, like a lot is happening. Do I have the capacity to sit down and talk to girls about teenage pregnancy, apart from the ones that were happening out of rape? Even though if a teenage becomes pregnant, that is defilement. Even if they did give consent, that person is of underage. So I joined an organization, Kiota CBO in Changamwe. So my whole aim was to join and also engage with them, not to just stay home, because literally there was nothing that I was doing. So joining Kiota, I joined it working with the media part of it, and also working in the community part of it, where I was trained as a peer educator by a DSW. So having been trained now, I had the confidence to actually sit down and talk to girls matters to do with teenage pregnancy. How are you able to prevent it? Do you actually know it's really bad for an old person to come to you expressing that they want to engage in premarital sex or becoming intimacy with you? So through that we're able to sit down with girls, talk to them about boosting their confidence, them getting education, them having a dignity, menstruation time, taking them through how to use sanitary pads, sanitary and menstruation health, So through that we're able to sit down and talk, and you will see a lot that was happening, things that I didn't know at that in my age. Those things are like, okay, I don't even know that's happening, but that age that you're able to sit down, you're like, but uncle fulani ilikuwa ameniambia kitu fulani, kumbe ni vibaya. Yes, ni vibaya, or it could even be a boy of the same age that they were, like 13, 14, 15. Or boy fulani aliniambia tuende like pahali fulani atanifanyia hivi. Kumbe ni kitu kibaya, ni tabia mbaya. I'm like, yes. So now through that I've been trained. Now I know what kind of information I'm supposed to pour down there and what can I not do. Again, you don't want to sit down and sit with young people and start tell them, sexual reproductive health, there is family planning. Again, you don't want to introduce that kind of knowledge into young minds. So through the training, now I know what to filter. how to engage different sets of age group, and what knowledge am I supposed to convey to them. So working with girls at that particular space, the girls through now sexual reproductive health rights, education, self-esteem, and particularly emphasizing on them completing their education and them reporting in case they feel like someone is expressing some sort of intimacy interest in someone who's 18 years of age, which was actually happening a lot. Could be, let me not mention people's profession, but it could be people in neighbors, someone claiming, oh, huyu ni bibi yangu, those words, they could just be out of say, oh, ni mke wangu, but they could also have a meaning to it, so apart from that, working with women in the climate space is to sit down and talk. Apart from climate restoration, we're also looking at gender-based violence.
Before we talk about gender-based violence, poverty and traditions are oftenly blamed for responsible for teenage pregnancies, girls getting involved into early marriages. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it is true that traditions do have a big role to play in terms of that. You would see the minute a girl turns into puberty, or is at a puberty age, she's like proposed to, oh, you can become a wife now. So this girl already in her mind, she's like, why do I even need to study while there are already plans to marry me off to someone? Another thing is now the poverty. This is a live example. A family, the poverty rate is so high. So here the father feels it's a burden to have all these girls at this age inside the house, and these are many mouths to feed. It has happened, and I've seen that happening. So you see girls are being forced into forced marriages, early marriages, because they're like, let me marry off this person so that they're able to get a better life. But in fact, you're ruining this person's life. So yes, it does have a big part to play. And we are also working with women in regards to that, not just women, but also men in regards to that, to change their perspective, knowing even if poverty rate is high, but that doesn't mean you marry off this person. There are ways we could look at, and that's also why Heart comes in, trying to find programs and projects to support these women. When you look at in the climate space, when there is drought or resources are scarce, women often are subjected to such harsh treatments. Already the resources are scarce, so now women also have to go and find ways to support the families. So now through such programs, women are able to support themselves, even support the girls' education, support the girls' food. So putting the balance that we're not burdens, but we are also part of it. We're also doing something to make the situation less negative.
Okay, well, let's talk about the gender-based violence now. What do you think about it?
It's sad. It's really sad. Last year I was in a space where I was a speaker, and we were able to sit down. It was a high stakeholder event at Azerbaijan during the COP29, and we had a segment where we were talking about gender-based violence and its intersection into the climate space. Right now, Kenya is looking at 129 or plus women being killed in 3 months or in 1 month, but there is a lot that is happening in terms of gender-based violence. When you're looking at places that are vulnerable to climate crisis or are experiencing climate crisis, you'll find that women are 14 more times subjected to sexual exploitation, to beatings from their men, from their husbands in that particular household. Women are subjected to to harshness, and could be beating, could be being married off, could be even used as an item to get an item. Women are also being traded because of resources, which is very sad. And currently a lot is happening in Kenya. The femicide is high, even if it could be not environmental related, but it is very high, and it's such a sad thing to watch. And we still have a long way to go as a country to be able to prevent that from happening. It's sad that we still do have leaders, women leaders, who think that someone experiencing femicide or being killed is because of them looking forward to have money. There are women who are just working to go fetch water, but they're being sexually assaulted. They're being killed. There's a university student who's just seated in her dorm, and then someone decided to kill her. No one wants to be killed, or no one is screaming, "Death, come to me." But these are situations that are there, and we have to find ways to cut them off completely. Yes.
Kuna dhana inasema kwamba like we've normalized these things. We've normalized gender-based violence, and at some point we're also normalizing femicide. That women have to be put in place by men. And this is very sad to see, because it relates with our beliefs, our traditions. But from where you sit, do you think we have normalized these things, and maybe what should be done to change this particular perspective?
About normalization, it's only the people who have such kind of behavior of demeaning women and even wanting to commit these horrible acts are the ones that normalizing it. It's not everyone who's normalizing such kind of things. And with so much anger, I say that women know their spaces, and women are in the right spaces, from doctors, from teachers, to caregivers, and so much more. And it's sad that people are saying, "Oh, we are normalizing," but no one is normalizing. It's only those evil, individual-minded people that are saying, put them in their place. Or, she was only killed because she did this. I mean, no matter what someone does, they do have a right to live. They do have right to a decent life. And it starts kwa wewe as an individual. Right now you're seated here next to me. You're all positive and everything. Your facials also show that it's bad, whatever that is happening in the country. But how many other men have such kind of mentality that I'm not going to kill a woman because she did something wrong to me. I'm not going to kill a woman because of so and so. Because when you look at the data or the reports that are there conducted by different civil society organizations or NGOs, it's not just about money. It could be someone got a better job than the partner, and jealousy. It could be so many things. So as an individual, it starts as an individual. What is it that you, as a man, you're thinking, how you express yourself towards women? Violence is not a solution. Government has put in place, if you look at the Constitution of Kenya, I'm not a law practitioner, but in my free time I do go through the small book to learn about rights and so on and so forth. But you'll see laws are there: manslaughter, killing with robbery with violence, manslaughter, and so much more. Yes, we have structures there, but even like the government has a way of being blamed, taking so long to solve these cases. A very good example, I don't like getting political, but a very good example is when the former deputy president was being impeached. The process was so fast. You'll see people spending as late as nights in the parliament, saying, yes, I object, I oppose, and I agree. But when it comes to these cases, it takes years. It takes so many years for someone to get justice. So
Mm-hmm.
even the people who are evil-minded, wanting to commit these horrific acts, they know,
Mm-hmm.
by the time I get caught,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be years. Are you getting what
Yeah,
I'm trying
so
to say?
definitely there's a need to improve. But one of the initiatives that are there and that have been put in place to try and get women in situations za femicide, situation za kuuliwa na mambo kama hayo, one of the initiatives is to try and empower women, get women into leadership, get women into businesses, so that they may feel empowered, generally bring equality. So there has been, that drive. For you, do you feel that there is equality? Has equality been achieved? Do we have enough women empowerment, girl empowerment so far in the country?
I can say yes, compared to a decade or 5 years ago, there's been a lot of change. And personally, here I am as a testament of that change. You know, I've grown with different girls, but unfortunately, not all of them were allowed or had an opportunity to grow and thrive and bloom into something. But here I'm from Taita Taveta and Mombasa, and from Changamwe, you know, I've been empowered and to be in these spaces that not just grassroots but also internationally. So as I am empowered, I'm also empowering others. So I can say the efforts are there, and it's been impactful so far. And also not just on the grassroots or climate spaces, you could say even these reports say that women earn more in these what are they termed as manly spaces like engineers and whatnot. Women are also thriving in such spaces. So I can say efforts are there, but we still have a long way to go. We haven't reached, there's no like 100%. I always say there is no perfection, but we try to get there. In my space as a climate activist, yes, I am empowered, and every day is a learning process. I've been able to sit down in the community, plant mangroves, and also represent my community at a global level in spaces like COPs, by United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. I've also been able to represent my community in convention to combat desertification in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And not just me, but also we empower women who have not even gone to school to be able to get to those spaces and pour out how climate affects them. We have pastoralist women kutoka huko Masai. Mtu hajui hata neno moja ya Kizungu, but they're able to come and communicate. Empowerment is not about speaking in English, going to university. It's even the knowledge that they have. I can tell you, it could even be more than the person that has gone to a university.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So are you still in Nyota, the Changamwe CBO? Was it Nyota?
Kyoto.
Kyoto.
I started my journey in Kyoto in the health space, talking about mental health and working with girls. But I'm a project lead of working with Wild Heart Kenya. So Wild Heart Kenya, founded in 2017, is a women and youth-led organization where we focus on climate change, gender equality, and climate restoration. So through all the activities that I've mentioned, that's what we do along the coast. We also work on advocacy. We work on advocacy, mostly advocating for loss and damage funds at grassroots level and also internationally. When we talk about loss and damage fund, simply we are looking at funding that is supposed to go to women and organizations at grassroots level to be able to implement programs aimed at mitigating the effects of climate change. We have people have experienced floods, their crops died and everything. How are those people able to now restart their lives over? How are people able to put preventative measures to prevent that from happening, you know.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, we're working with different groups, indigenous group, mostly girls and women.
What's the mission? Yeah, the organization, and as for you as Husna, where do you want to be in 5 years? Ama tayari umefika, ayo umefikia ba, ama sky's the limit? So where do we see you in 5 years?
So from the organization, we're looking at restoring degraded ecosystems and biodiversity. And also we want to be in a place where we're looking at women empowerment. We don't have gender-based violence cases. We don't have femicide cases. You know, we have empowered women, people living in decent homes, people having a decent life. You know, even if it's pastoralists, it's people in the city. And we're also looking at a wider clock on decreasing the global temperatures. As an individual, I can say I'm not there yet. Sky is the limit. I do have dreams, and inshallah I want to become a diplomat. I'm currently pursuing studies in arts and international relations. I want to take further my advocacy, as I'm in representing my community in the grassroots, but as I am doing right now also in the international space, there's a lot more I can do to make things better for my community in the international space.
Amazing. As we come to the closure, please look at this camera. Ambia wasichana kitu. Talk to girls.
My girls, nina mengi ya kusema, but kusoma ni muhimu. Education is really important. Education is the foundation. Education is the key to life. So first, let's seek education. Let's be safe. Let's get educated in different matters, and also join the climate space, because there is a lot more that we can do together to combat effects of climate change. Nyote nawakaribisha Wild Heart Kenya.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for your time kuja hapa talking to us, and of course I'm very sure that our viewers have been able to learn a lot and draw inspiration from her story. This is Husna, just a young girl, but she has achieved a lot at her age, and of course it's my wish that tuweze kufuata nyayo zake, and of course that is our end. That has been our time. My name is Paul Munio. Until next time, bye bye. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms at Lifelines Network.